You know that saying, only fools rush in? Well, you're going to be that fool if you hurry to finish and finalize your divorce before the end of the year, especially if you and your estranged spouse are still sorting through the finances and assets. Because according to our next guest, it can lead to an unfair settlement, skipping over hidden assets, and making hasty decisions that can cost you a lot of money. Well, joining us to explain why slow and steady wins the race is our longtime contributor, Donna LaScala. Donna is president of Comprehensive Divorce Solutions in New York. She's also a financial neutral, a certified divorce financial analyst, and a member of the Association of Divorce Financial Planners. Donna, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you on such an important topic, because as we inch towards the end of 2025, some people think they have to rush to finalize their divorce before the start of the new year. And you say that's a big misconception, and the idea of racing to get it done will backfire. Why is that?
So, first of all, we all know the saying, haste makes waste, and it applies here as well. So the misconception is, you get all your stuff in before the end of the year, and that's it. But your divorce really isn't final for months after that. So let's talk about why rushing is not the best idea. So when we rush to get anything done, it's highly likely that the details are going to be overlooked along the way. And because finances are very detailed, if you miss something that might seem a minor point to you right now, it can become major down the road. And too many people find themselves saying, God, I wish I'd known that before, ... after their divorce is final. So we try to avoid unintended consequences, because the unintended consequences of financial decisions made in haste can be costly. You know, another saying is timing is everything. Well, yes, absolutely. The timing of when and how you move forward in your divorce is important to how successful the outcome is going to be, specifically when it comes to your finances, and there's lots of examples of that.
A lot of people are led to believe that there are many tax benefits to getting it done before the clock strikes midnight on January 1st. Based on your experience, is that true?
So as I've said many times before on this program, it all depends. And I know that's a really frustrating answer for a lot of people, but it really does, because everyone's situation is unique. So everything has its pluses and minuses. For example, there are certain tax benefits that married people have that will immediately disappear once you get divorced. So different tax filing statuses come with different benefits, but they also may have some drawbacks. There are different categories that you file under. So these are the basic ones: single, married filing jointly, married filing separate, and head of household. So let's take a look at some of these tax bracket categories to give you a more specific idea of how this works. So for 2025, earned income between $103,000 and change and $197,000 and change is in the 24% federal tax bracket for a single filer. Okay? However, if you're married filing jointly, that 24% tax bracket has a range of income from about $207,000 to almost $400,000. That's a huge difference. It has a significant impact on your net income. And by the way, the head of household filing is at the same rate as the single filing. So let that sink in for a second and realize what's about to change once you get divorced. Let's talk about capital gains for another example. A single person with income between about $47,000 and about $518,000, which I know is a huge range, has a 15% capital gains rate. But if you're married filing jointly, that range goes from $95,000 to almost $600,000. So this is very important when dividing assets, and when you're talking about the possible sale of a marital residence, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I want to talk about the division of assets, because at some point, both sides are going to sit down and address it. Based on your experience, what are some of the biggest mistakes people make when they are splitting their resources, money, properties, and why is there more to splitting everything than the current dollar value?
So as some of my colleagues and clients will tell you, I use this phrase, let's compare apples to apples, not apples to kumquats. So what do I mean by this? So the primary residence, let's just take these numbers for an example. So if you have a primary residence worth $800,000, it's not the same as a 401k worth $800,000, nor is it the same as a brokerage account worth $800,000 or a vacation property worth $800,000. Now, you look at those things and you go, yeah, but they're all $800,000. But it's very confusing to think about why they would be different. So let's go to an old riddle. What weighs more, a pound of feathers or a pound of gold? So now the answer is they both weigh a pound. But everybody understands that it takes way more feathers to weigh a pound than it takes gold. So going back to the assets, you use this kind of thought process and you think about this. Each of these assets has a different tax structure and different ramifications associated with them. That's what makes them unequal. We spend a great deal of time with clients explaining tax impacting when they're trying to divide and exchange assets, because you have to take that into account when you're weighing $800,000 of one thing versus $800,000 of another.
Yeah, that is something I bet you a lot of people don't think about. And I am guessing that they probably think after everything is done, like, oh my God, how did I not know that? And why didn't I ask that? Which is going to bring me to my next question. What other factors are often overlooked?
So I just had this same exact conversation with a colleague the other day. When you look at a statement from a financial institution, most people just look at the first page and say, okay, there's my balance, there's my account value, whatever, and then they file it away. The meat of the account is in the pages that follow. But these are often the ones that are overlooked. And why is that important? Well, because again, apples and kumquats. So not all assets are created equal, and you need to understand the true process of equitable distribution. So here's what I mean by that. There are really two steps to the division of assets, and I'm going to try to simplify this so that everybody can get a picture. The first step is to determine the value of everything and who's getting what or retaining how much of what. But then we come to the mechanics. How is this asset being divided? How is this account being split? So let's use IBM stock as an example. So we have a joint account. We have a couple who's been married for an extended period of time, and the couple has been purchasing IBM stock every year around the same time as a joint holiday present. Okay, so on December 28th of 2020, you buy 50 shares of stock of IBM at $116 and change. The following year, around the same time, another 50 shares at $119 and change. 2023, those same 50 shares cost you $130 per share. Well, earlier today, IBM was trading at $305 and change. So we understand the idea, the concept of gain. So there's a gain associated with these purchases. So now the question is, who's getting which shares? They all have different capital gains exposure associated with them, and a spouse who may not be as financially savvy as the other might agree to receiving shares purchased at the lowest price, thereby giving them the largest capital gain upon potential sale. And that makes it inequitable. So you have to really look at what's involved. So again, additionally, all accounts are not the same. So a bank account with cash in savings is not the same as a brokerage account with, say, mutual funds or stocks or bonds, which is not the same as a managed account, which charges a fee for assets under management, and it makes them not be the same. Again, $800,000 is not $800,000 in different formats. So it's crucial to understand the nuances of what exists before dividing and deciding what you're doing and rushing through the process. You're likely going to miss something. And as we all know, the devil is in the details. And those are the details that get missed when you're trying to reach the finish line at an unrealistic deadline, like December 31st.
How far back do you like to see records?
So it depends on what type of account it is. If it's a bank account and I'm trying to establish how much money is being spent, I'm looking for a pattern of behavior, I may want to see a few years worth, especially if there is, something that's being debated. For a brokerage account, a retirement account, I really like to see at least 3 months just to establish what contributions are being made, if anything's coming out. Again, just establishing a pattern of behavior. It depends on the type of account that it is. And there are differences on how these investments are handled, the fees that are associated with them, the activity that goes on. Is it a corporate-sponsored retirement account? Is it a self-managed IRA? Is it a managed account where there's an institutional money manager who's making all the decisions and charging for assets under management? All these things behave differently. So a lot of times I ask the question also, okay, so you're separating all of these things, but is the other person savvy enough to really know what they're receiving? Are they an accredited investor for certain things like real estate investments or, more sophisticated types of securities? Does someone have restricted stock units and employee stock options through work? Well, those can't be transferred to the non-employee spouse, so calculations need to be done, and things need to be figured out and factored in order to make that part of equitable distribution. So again, apples and kumquats, people, you have to be very cognizant of what it is that you're dealing with. And if you're rushing through the process, you're going to miss something, guaranteed. Because also these people are dealing with fear and loss and stress and grief and all of those things, and they're not thinking necessarily as logically as they might be 6 months down the road when the you-know-what hits the fan and everything is finally actually coming at them, and now they have to deal with it. Wow, how do I have this tax bill all of a sudden? What did I do? What decision did I make? And it's too late to go back and undo it.
Last question, because we're running out of time. For people maybe who are going to take a step back, what would you say is the number one thing they should be doing during the holidays so when the new year starts, they're ready to go?
Well, during the holidays, let's all take a breath and try to enjoy the time that we have. But at the end of the year, all financial institutions generate an annual statement, and that's the time when you start accumulating the paperwork. You get all your ducks in a row. You make sure that you know the value of everything, where everything is, who owns it, is it joint, is it individual. That's when you start getting your act together to take that next step. But don't make any hasty decisions that you might regret later on. And hire the professionals that can help you.
Great advice. Donna, for people who want to get in touch with you and learn more, where do they find you?
So you can give me a call at 516-234-7522. My website is Comprehensive Divorce Solutions, and my email is compdivorce@gmail.com.
Donna, happy holidays. And again, Donna LaScala, President of Comprehensive Divorce Solutions. We will be right back.
At Comprehensive Divorce Solutions, Donna LaScala provides the tools for people to deal with assets, debts, equitable distribution, and retirement in divorce negotiations. We hold your hand during and after the divorce process, providing a roadmap of what happens next and into the future. Divorce is difficult whether you're initiating it or not. It's fraught with emotion. When you deal with emotions, you are not dealing with logic, making it more difficult to decide what to do with your money. Hiring a professional to assist you in walking down the money path is crucial to avoiding potentially costly mistakes. Donna's goal is to make sure that each individual knows how they are going to be able to survive and thrive during and after divorce. As a CDFA-trained mediator and collaborative financial neutral, Donna helps people get unstuck and move forward towards their post-divorce future. Call Donna LaScala at 516-218-6919, 516-218-6919.